Hey guys, so it's Sunday for me right now, 6:52 p.m. and I'm going to be doing the lecture for Monday. This is just in case you can't do the Zoom or you can't get in for whatever reason. You will be reviewing Chapter 5, Section 1 PowerPoint. It will be posted in Google Classroom. So please look at it. It's slides 1 through 37. There are multiple notes. I mean, lots of notes with this one. And it talks about genes and alleles and traits and how things work. And it talks about cross-pollination in plants and lots of cool stuff. Okay. So watch it over and over and over again if you have to. It should take me about, I think, 35, 40 minutes to get through the lecture. Take your time, and then after you're done, you need to do 5.1 review and reinforce. If you are distance only, you need to do the digital version. So basically what we've been doing for chapter 4, which is just fill in the answers on the Google Doc that correspond to the PDF that I have posted. Okay, so just write the answers out on the answer sheet, and you'll get credit as long as the answers are correct. If they're not correct, I'll make note and you can either fix it, or if you don't, then you don't get credit for that particular one. Okay. So make sure that you guys do the work. I'm noticing that people still aren't doing the work, whether we're in person or not, and it's frustrating for me. So I don't want to give you guys a bad grade. I want good grades. Okay. So let's work together. All right. So let me get going. Let me share my appropriate screen. I'm gonna turn my camera off. You don't need to see me, you just need to see what I'm talking about. Let me zoom up, for lack of better words. Okay. So, well, as you see, 10 vocabulary words. Okay, heredity, trait, genetics, fertilization, purebred, gene, alleles, dominant allele, and recessive allele, and hybrid. No pun intended for the hybrid. Yes, we are on hybrid. Means both. Okay, means two things. Okay, so write this one down. And I love the chicken, don't you? He's rocking out. So heredity is the passing of physical characteristics from parent to offspring. So like if your parents have blue eyes, brown eyes, blonde hair, brown hair, black hair, tall, short, those are all types of characteristics that you could get from your parents. So Gregory Mendel was curious. So Gregory Mendel was a scientist long time ago. We'll actually get into his history a little bit later. But back in the day, and I do mean like a really long time ago, he was curious about different forms of characteristics, or also known as traits. So characteristics are traits, okay? So write that down. Of pea plants. So Mendel's work was used for the foundation of genetics and the study of heredity. So write that one down too. Pause the video until you're done. So here's a picture of Gregory Mendel. So yes, he was a man of God, which is actually pretty interesting. Okay, we'll get into that later. But here's pea pods. Okay, take this one down. A new organism begins to form when the egg and sperm join in a process called fertilization. Before fertilization can happen in pea plants, pollen must reach the pistil of the flower, the pea flower, through the pollination. So the stamen actually has the sperm, which is the pollen, okay? And the pistil is basically the female portion of the plant, and that is where fertilization will take place. Pause the video until you're done writing. So pea plants are usually self-pollinating, meaning pollen from a flower lands on the pistil of the same flowers. That happens with wind. It also happens with bugs, so flies, bees, wasps, butterflies, birds, lots of different animals. Humans. So you guys can see. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so here's what Mendel did. You don't need to write this one down, you just need to pay attention. Okay. He cut the pollinators, he cut the stamens off, okay, of in the purple one, okay? And then he took the white pollen and he fertilized the purple and it yielded, okay, the peas. Then he planted those. And then he noticed that some of these peas were tall and short, and some of them had the purple flowers, some of them had the white flowers, some of them had multiple flowers, okay? So he realized, that's interesting. So Mendel crossed two pea plants that differed in height. He crossed purebred plants, meaning they were of their own breed. They did not have anything else, okay? These were called the parent plants, P generation, were purebred because they were the offspring of many generations that have the same traits. Write that last bullet point down. These parent plants, the P generation, okay, so your parents would be P generation, okay, were purebred because they had many offspring that had the same traits. So if you guys take a look at this, the P generation, you have tall and a short. The first generation of offspring were both tall. The second generation, well, look, tall, 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 short. What happened? Interesting, right? So when all of Mendel's crosses from the form of the trait appeared F1 generation. However, F2, the lost form of the trait, was always reappeared in about the fourth of the plants. So about a quarter of the plants always yielded that shorter gene. Pretty cool, huh? Just shows how often he did it. So take a look at generation 2. He did 705 plants for that one, and then 224 white flower plants. So he did this experiment quite a bit, guys, and he got the same results over and over again. It's about 3/4 of the plants would be yielded at the dominant traits, so purple or tall, and then about a quarter of them would be yielding the white flower, which is a recessive gene, in short plants. These are the different traits. Okay, so from his results, Mendel reasoned that the individual factors or genes from one parent control the inheritance of traits. Write that down. Write that down. That is really important, guys. Pause the video until you're done. Okay, so a little bit of trivia for you. Humans have about 3.1 billion base pairs of A to T, G to C, okay? And they have about 21, we have about 21,000 different genes in our DNA. So think about that. Isn't that ridiculous? 21,000 different combinations that we could actually be. That's interesting. A gene can be found by tagging the chromosome in fluorescent dye in the highlight for that. So you guys kind of see the light yellow in there? That's tagging a gene on a chromosome. That's pretty cool. You don't need to write that down. Okay, you need to write all of these, please. The factors that control each trait exist in pairs. One factor in a pair can hide the other factor. Today, scientists call the factors that control traits genes. The different forms of a gene are called alleles. So write all 4 of those. Please pause the video. Okay, for this one, I would highly recommend you write all of them down, especially the top 4. The last one is just a bonus. You should write it though. An organism's traits are determined by the alleles in inheritance from its parents. Some alleles are dominant while other alleles are recessive. A dominant allele is one whose trait always shows up in the organism when the allele is present. A recessive allele is hidden whenever there's a dominant allele is present. A trait controlled by the recessive allele will only show up if the organism does not have a dominant allele, meaning that if you have two recessive alleles, that becomes your dominant for you. Okay, write all of those down. Pause the video until you're done and then move on. Okay, here we go. The last one is the most important because it talks about the actual definition. But in Mendel's cross, the purebred tall plant had two alleles for tall stems. The purebred short plant had two alleles for short stems. F1 plants are the hybrids. They had two different alleles from the trait. One allele for tall and one allele for short. So you need to write the last one for sure, because hybrid is that you have two different alleles. Okay, that's what that means. Pause the video until you're done. Okay, geneticists use capital letters to represent a dominant allele and lowercase version for the same letter to represent the recessive allele. Write that down. Really important, because when you actually start doing your worksheets for this chapter, there's lots of capitals and lots of lowercase, and you need to know which one's which. Write that down, put a star next to it. Super important. Pause the video until you're done, then move on. So Mendel's discovery was not recognized during his lifetime. In the 1900, 3 different scientists rediscovered Mendel's work. Because of his work, Mendel is often called the father of genetics. I would write down the last two. However, the last one, just remember, Mendel is the father of genetics. Okay. So that's it, guys. We're not going to do the page number 1 and 2. That's old stuff. However, you are supposed to do 5.1 of your work. So let me turn on my camera. Hi, I'm right here. Okay. Let me get back into the works. It's been a long day. Sorry. So 5.1. Okay. So let me show you guys this one. Okay, so this is 5.1. So you guys are going to have 13 things to answer. The first 3, you guys have 2 questions, okay? And they should be answered in the form of a sentence. This whole one-word answer thing, you guys are in 7th grade. Start answering in sentences, please. So it says, what trait in the pea plants is being studied in the cross above? Okay, so what are we looking for? Okay, I wonder. Okay, what are the 2 alleles of this trait? Okay, well, I wonder. We could take a look. 2, what allele is the dominant allele? Explain how you know. What alleles do the F1 offspring have? Explain how alleles were inherited by the parent. And then you have to answer the vocabulary words. Those are all in the PowerPoint that I just showed you. Okay, so this is what we're doing Monday on the 22nd of March. So I will try to make sure everyone has access to the Zoom. If you can't make it onto the Zoom or technology is just not fun for you, I get it, I understand. Just do me a favor, try to watch the video, okay? Okay, if you guys have any questions, shoot me an email, message on Google Classroom, and I will get to answering as soon as I can. Keep in mind, I do not sit behind my desk when I lecture. This is why I'm doing these. I have to walk around, okay? So if I disappear during lecture, during Zoom, it's just because I can't hang back behind that glass. Not claustrophobic, it's just I like walking around, okay? So I'll check my computer as often as I can. Okay, guys, have a good day.